Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel for your Thursday morning Chelsea news video. This is going to be the first of maybe two, potentially three videos that you are going to get today on GBFC. We're back in the car. It's the place that's probably going to have the best audio today because it's very windy outside. But we are going to be talking about a lot of stuff in this morning's Chelsea news video because there's a lot happening right now in the transfer window, and Chelsea, or Blueco, Strasbourg, Chelsea for next year, as you've seen on the front of the thumbnail, Chelsea is signing Enciso, but he's going to Strasbourg for a year, then he's going to be joining Chelsea. But we're going to go into absolutely everything this morning, and before we do that, there's a big release that's happened this morning at the Chelsea online megastore, and of course, GBFC10 is your discount code. The new Chelsea third kit that's been made, it's like a retro throwback. It's the badge that we had before, and it's a total 90 kit. It's black, it's got the badge in the middle. It looks amazing. Honestly, this is one of the coolest third kits that I've seen us have for quite some time. I've already ordered mine this morning. You guys can get yours too. Make sure you use the link in the description and it will take you to the kits page and you can get it 10% off everything at the megastore. So if you're doing a big shop, make sure you don't forget to use the code, and QR code is on the screen. I'll remind you again at the end of the video. So let's go through this because this is a video that I love to make. You know, every time that we can kind of rub some salt into the wounds of Tottenham Hotspur, I will always jump at the opportunity to do so. Now, I know that if something were to go crazy here a little bit, and we're talking about hijacking of transfers in this video, we still haven't signed Xavi Simons, all right? But at this point in time, this is great news that I love to read from a Chelsea perspective. So, Simon Phillips has tweeted this, and this comes from Fabrizio. Tottenham made contact for Xavi Simons a few days ago, but he has his heart set on Chelsea. I think when we see this game play against West Ham tomorrow, and then I think Leipzig start their season against Bayern Munich, as soon as this is done, I think Xavi Simons is getting done. I think it will be a signing that will be finally just feel that relief, that few moment where we're like, he's finally a Chelsea player. Do you know what I mean? And the facts that Tottenham Hotspur, we're seeing this come out yesterday, that it was Spurs that were that like surprise, quiet, second English club, and it wasn't Man City, it was Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham Hotspur going in for him. And I think it's because Spurs were ready for what has happened with Eberechi Eze. And we're going to talk about that a little bit now because this is a mental story. Eze set to join Arsenal for around £60 million, with Arsenal set to wrap up a deal quickly. Eze has already agreed to the move. Spurs had an agreement in principle with Palace, and verbal terms agreed with Eze. Palace delayed, waiting for Eze to play in the Conference League, and Arsenal made their move this afternoon. So Palace accepted Arsenal's £60 million bid, and Eze's no longer going to Tottenham, which would have been a sensational signing for Spurs. And it now is a remarkable signing for Arsenal because they've got him out of the clutches of Tottenham Hotspur. And I think this is the signing that would make the difference for Arsenal. I think it's, in all fairness, as much as it's like fun to laugh at Tottenham, this also isn't great news for Chelsea because I think this is maybe the signing of the summer for Arsenal. I think this is the player that they've needed. And obviously there's a lot of talk earlier in the window about Rodrigo. Rodrigo's agent was meeting with Arsenal and Liverpool this week. But Arsenal have just gone in here and got this Eze deal done incredibly quickly. And we having a medical after Crystal Palace's Europa Conference League game tonight. So I think he's going to Arsenal tomorrow for that medical. Personal terms were no problem. And yeah, this is obviously a big move in the Premier League when it comes to like the ripple effect of and the domino effects of all of these potential deals going through. So what does it mean now for Tottenham? I wouldn't be surprised if they tested the waters with an actual bid for Xavi Simons. And I think if they did that, it would be like doubling down potentially on the rejection. Where if Simons was like, listen, I told you I wanted to only go to Chelsea. But for Spurs, this is not ideal. Like they were trying to send Richarlison to Palace to bring Eze to the club so that they could go out there and buy another striker. But now they're not going to have either of those players come through, because they can't use Richarlison as a make weight for Eze, and then maybe they still do go in for that other striker. But Eze going to Arsenal is concerning. You know, I did my Premier League predictions the other day, last week. I think it was last Thursday I did those. And I said to you guys, I think Arsenal might be the team that finishes fourth. This could be the difference maker for them. But let's move now back on the Chelsea front. So, Chelsea Strasbourg, which is how this has even been worded in the reporting, closing in on agreement to sign Julio Enciso from Brighton. Deal details being fixed, but Enciso expected to join Strasbourg for the 25-26 season, then Chelsea player for the future, as Athletic FC reports. Enciso will join Blue Co Group, spending this season at Strasbourg, then joining Chelsea. Here we go. Season 25-26 in France, and then future at Chelsea. Contract until 2031, plus option until 2032. €20 million package to Brighton, add-ons included, medical on Thursday. This is actually a great deal. I think Julio Enciso is a really exciting player, the 21-year-old Paraguayan international. He scored an amazing goal at Stamford Bridge, if you guys remember it, a couple years back for Brighton when he first burst in on the scene. And he kind of stagnated a little bit, but he's a player with a lot of potential. And I think it's smart, potentially, from Chelsea. And look, I know obviously it's still very early days in this whole Blue Coast Strasbourg-Chelsea relationship. We're obviously seeing a lot of strain being put on these multi-club model deals and clubs when it comes to European football involvement. But I think this, in terms of like a just pure business perspective, £15 million or whatever it is to sign Enciso, and then he joins a year after a year of development at Strasbourg. This could be a bargain. This could be seen as a really good deal for Chelsea. I think a lot of people are going to absolutely hate this, particularly if you're someone like a Crystal Palace and you're looking at this deal and you're losing Eze, and then you see what's happened with your multi-club story and not being able to be in the Europa League, and then Forest taking that spot and all of that stuff. I think this is going to be something where we're either going to see clamping down on these rules. It's just going to become more and more prevalent and popular and prominent in the footballing space. So this is potentially an exciting deal. Obviously, it doesn't really impact us right now. And obviously this season, I'm going to be doing some stuff here on GBFC, probably in short form content, where we keep an eye on those players at Strasbourg that are either there on loan or a part of this like future plan for Chelsea, because Emmanuel Amiga is another player, a striker at Strasbourg, that is expected to potentially join Chelsea at the end of next season. So if I was a Strasbourg fan, I'd be looking at this and I don't know if I'd be so happy, you know, because you get excited that a player's coming, but then it's like, oh, only for a year, only on loan basically, whilst he ends up at Chelsea. So I don't know, but as a Chelsea fan right now, it's looking pretty good. Next piece of news, and I spoke about this yesterday. I literally had the dagger put into me when I uploaded the video, and then basically the confirmation then officially came through. Chelsea agreed £25.5 million package plus heavy sell-on clause to sell Renato Veiga to Villareal. So Renato Veiga is gone. The exciting thing about this is Chelsea's sell-on clause that we have put in this contract for him to move to Villareal is 40%. So Chelsea Football Club here have sold Renato Veiga for a fixed fee that is double that of what we bought him for a year ago, having played one Premier League game. We got a €5 million loan fee to send him to Juventus for the second half of the season. And now we're getting a 40% sell-on clause. And I'll be honest with you, Renato Veiga I think is a great player. I think in 2 years, 3 years potentially at Villareal, he could really become a mainstay there and be one of the most expensive defenders potentially on the market. So this is amazing. It's a brilliant deal for Chelsea Football Club. And obviously at the moment, we're seeing a lot of stuff come out about Chelsea selling players and having to register, having to sell X amount of players for X value to be able to register new players in European competition this season. And because Veiga wasn't in the squad last season, neither was Joao Felix for the knockouts, these players apparently are not counting towards Chelsea's like quota of how much we need to make in sales. So I still think there's going to be a lot more that we see over the course of the next few days. Bournemouth are interested in signing Axel Disasi. Talks ongoing. And then Sasha Tavalieri has said this. Bournemouth has started club-to-club talks with Chelsea for Axel Disasi. This is a loan with an option to buy. The Cherries are also in talks with the French centre-back. Chelsea prefer a permanent exit, says Ben Jacobs here, but different formulas being discussed. It's got a bit too late in the window now. As much as we can say that Chelsea have done a very good job when it comes to selling these players, Renato Veiga, literally the last story that we discussed, is a fantastic deal for Chelsea Football Club. It's brilliant value that we're bringing in, and it's a player that we've obviously going to make great profits on. But with Axel Disasi, this is an example of a deal that just didn't work. And for Chelsea at the minute, because we have got so many players that we're still looking to offload, as I've said over the course of the last few days, unless a great offer from somewhere comes in, I can see quite a few of these players that we're looking to sell to get off the books, to get the wages off the books. I think Chelsea will just sanction some loans purely so that we don't have those wages. And players just like having their careers just stagnate before their very eyes because they're surplus to requirements at Chelsea Football Club. As much as Disasi isn't good enough, in my opinion, to be a Chelsea player, and the club clearly agrees on this with the obvious sale approach this summer, you also don't want to see footballers that just weren't good enough, suffering, not playing, training with the reserves, training on their own. I want to see these players' careers actually go and flourish somewhere, to be quite honest, from like a player perspective. But for Chelsea, a permanent move would obviously be favourable. Ben Jacobs also said this about Nicholas Jackson, and this is kind of big movement in this story of the summer regarding Nicholas Jackson. Understand clubs interested in Jackson are being told a loan with an obligation may be possible under the right conditions. 10 million loan fee. Aston Villa are exploring a deal, and a Newcastle or Milan move can't be discounted. Jackson is expected to have several options if Chelsea's £80 million valuation drops south of 70 million. So we've gone from hearing 100 million to 80 million to now it's got to be south of 70 million to sell Nicholas Jackson. I've never been a big fan of this. You guys know it. I've always wanted to keep Nicholas Jackson. I think now the damage has been done. I think now that the season has started and we're still hearing it's over, Jackson not in the squads, I feel for him, I do. But at the same time, we've got to be brutal if we want to go and win things. If we want to be a club that is seriously looking to win the Champions League for a third time, win the Premier League for the first time since 2017, was Jackson going to do that for us? Now that we've signed Joao Pedro and Liam Delap, that is even more unlikely than the 2 seasons of data and experience of watching him that we've got now at the club. So do I think we're going to get a deal where we see a permanent sale this summer? I highly doubt it. 10 million for a loan fee with an obligation to buy next summer could be something more that we see. Now that Arsenal have got Eze, I know in the last video I said Arsenal could go for him. Now that's changed completely, but at the time of recording yesterday, Eze to Arsenal wasn't a thing. So I could still see Newcastle going here for Nicholas Jackson. It makes the most sense. He fits their style so much better. And Hijack, like that whole saga, that whole story blows my mind. I think Newcastle have dug themselves a massive hole here. There's obviously been, the shovel's been pretty big. It's been an Hijack-sized shovel because he's been pushing it himself. But I think doubling down and trying to keep him now, not beneficial to Newcastle because he won't be worth that much next year because he's not going to have a great season. You know that's going to be the case. So let's see what happens. Nicholas Jackson, Newcastle, Villa, both clubs with PSR problems, and Newcastle have got more than just a little bit of PSR issue right now. But anyway, that's the morning news update. Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments down below. There will be more videos later on today. Probably a West Ham preview later tonight. I think Maresca's press conference is at 11 a.m. And I'm sure this is a busy Thursday when it comes to Chelsea transfer news. So I'll keep you guys in the loop. As I said at the start of the video, if you want to get yourself any of the new stuff from the Megastore this summer, here's your QR code on the screen. There is a link in the description. GBFC10 gets you 10% off everything in the Megastore. Even clearance items, you can get 10% off that too. So check it all out. The link's down below. Thank you guys for all the love and support. Subscribe to GBFC if you are new. I'll catch you again later for your next video. Come on, you Blues.